This drinks can, if recycled, can save enough energy to power a TV for 3 hours. Yet the Bible actually says very little about reducing waste and recycling. It's just assumed that it's something that we would do. You see, up until about 250 years ago, there was no need to convince humanity to be mindful of how they use their resources. Because of the work required to produce them, everything toiled over was precious. When you were limited by the amount of grain that could be grown in a field, every piece of food was used and nothing was wasted. And then, over the past 200 years, we've seen such a boom in technology that's allowed for industrial farming, and radical advances in medicine has seen mortality rates plummet in the rich Western world. And huge social and societal transformations, with education being available for everyone, and not just the higher social classes, has opened up new work opportunities for everyone. And all of this has led to our collective disassociation with how our food, our clothing, and all of our other possessions are created, along with the work required to actually produce them. And so there's no explicit command or instruction in the Bible for us to reduce or reuse or recycle. It's just the expected norm of how we are expected to interact with this world. However, Jesus did have an expectation that we use our resources and possessions for the benefit of our communities. And throughout the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, Jesus instructs his followers in how they should spend their money, how they shouldn't store up excess, but to give to those in need. Jesus clearly wanted us to be mindful of how we use our gifts and possessions that God has given to us, and to use these for the benefit of everyone. John the Baptist also said the same thing in Luke chapter 3 verse 11, that anyone who has 2 shirts should share with the one who has none, and anyone who has food should do the same. So what does that look like within a school community? Primary schools are said to produce 45 kilograms of waste per pupil each year, while secondary schools produce around 22 kilograms. Let's break this down into 3 areas: reduce, reuse and recycle. Firstly, reduce. Could you encourage pupils to bring in waste-free lunches, using reusable containers and cutlery and bottles, and avoid using single-use plastics and packaging? You could challenge pupils to measure and monitor the amount of waste they produce in a week, and set goals to reduce it. Then there's the reduction of paper and ink and printed materials. Are there digital and online resources that you could use instead? Next, reuse. Finding ways to reuse items is a huge part of becoming more sustainable. I know a few schools who have decided to purchase second-hand laptops and screens, and it's a great way of saving money as well as stopping electrical waste ending up in landfill. Is there somewhere that you could donate your old computers and your screens and other equipment, rather than throwing them away? Whether that's schools or churches or other local charities. And how about organising a reuse fair or a swap shop, where pupils can bring in and exchange unwanted items, clothing, books and toys and other items. I was involved in organising a swap shop, complete with a catwalk, to show off donated items to raise money for a local charity. And maybe your PTA could organise something similar to raise funds for your school. And our final section, recycle. Have you watched our recent video from St Anne's in Sale, and how their eco-warriors are recycling? St Anne's have recycling bins in every classroom throughout the school, and the eco-warriors are involved in collecting these. They even managed to find a way of recycling their old board markers and felt tips after being challenged by a Year 6 pupil. If you haven't had a chance to watch that video, there's a link in the description below. Have you signed up to any recycling schemes or any initiatives that reward schools for recycling? Or have you had a competition to see which class can recycle the most? Let me know in the comments so that we can share our resources between schools. Well, that's it for this video, but don't forget to let me know what you're doing to reduce, reuse and recycle. Maybe you'll be featured in a future video in this series. But again, let's end this video in prayer. Jesus, we thank you for the momentum that we are building in becoming greener and more sustainable schools. Would you help us as we continue to go further and to do more? Would you inspire us and use our pupils to lead us as we create school communities that reveal your love through our actions? Amen.